Now, just moving ahead. Obviously, you've got a big thing coming up. I think not this weekend, next weekend. The big
Yep. Next
Hui.
Friday.
Yeah, to tell us about that.
Well, it's all go. I was just on we were just on a Zoom with our Omahu Marae. That's where it's going to be at Omahu Marae on Friday the 31st. Just making sure that we're covering off all the key bits, the parking, the catering, and as the weather's shocking at the moment, better to have it this week rather than next week. And I think next week the weather's looking a bit better. So fingers crossed. If we can get the weather well, we're winning. We're already halfway there.
So, who's coming to this Hui, and what is it about?
The Hui's about unity, Māori unity. Our kahununu people talked about that back in 1892. A big Hui was held at Waipatu Marae in Hastings.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity to look at, okay, we've got a government that's not supporting a lot of things that we that are really crucial for our well-being, language, culture, environment, health and well-being. And so what we're saying is, okay, governments are going to be sympathetic, but they're never going to be the total solution to what we need to do. But what we can do is start looking towards ourselves, looking at ourselves first, looking at our resources, looking at our leadership, looking at our strategies and how we can unite together. So it's about kotahitanga, or the unification of te iwi Māori. And so anyone in iwi Māori politics and leadership will be there. So we've had 3,000 register already, but we know that not everyone registers, so it could be a big number.
And the Māori King, King Tuati is coming as well, is he?
He's coming. King Tuatea confirmed very early on. Actually, he was the first one I invited to make sure that his calendar was free. So he'll be there along with many other leaders in Te Ao Māori.
So representatives of all the iwi will be coming?
Yep. And not just iwi, but also some of the big Māori organisations that have been pushing kaupapa for the last 100 plus years.
Yeah. And so are you going to be leading it, or are you going to be driving the agenda and that?
I'll be driving the agenda, moderating who gets to speak and who doesn't, making sure that we're on this kaupapa. All the other kaupapa that you might want to be talking about, well, you have to organise your own hui for that.
Yeah. Because that's sometimes the thing with these big meetings, big hui, is that you can be distracted from your energy.
Yeah. And we've actually asked people to put up discussion papers and thought papers prior, and those have been uploaded onto the huitaumata.co.nz website. Okay. We've also said, this is really for the thought leaders of our people. If you're just coming to have a nohi, you can watch it live. It'll be live streamed. So we're going to be using all the technology to ensure that it gets out to as many parts of Aotearoa and abroad as possible.
And what do you hope, if there's one thing you hope can come out of this, what do you hope?
Yeah, that's a good question. I hope we can get into a formal, functional structure that we can start to develop. So some of the proposals will be put up, whether it's a kotahitanga Māori Parliament, or some kind of structure that pulls together te iwi Māori. And we all need to be able to see ourselves within the structure. But that's the outcome, is that we have the bones or straw man of a structure that can unite te iwi Māori, and can be a political force, can be a social force, can be an economic force for generations to come.
That's quite formalised, an actual parliament, if you like.
Yeah. And that was the kind of the thinking back in 1892 at the hui held at Waipatu. There would be a separate Māori Parliament, but we're talking 2024 and beyond. So okay, let's have a look at that. Maybe some tweaks here or there, but it needs to be be able to drive political change. It needs to be able to drive economic and social change and well-being change for our people, because those are the outcomes that we need. Education, jobs and employment, they're all really important to our future.
Because some of the more conservative members of New Zealand society might get a bit nervous about that. Say, "Oh, is this segregation?" What do you have to say about that?
No, well, what I'm saying is this is about resilience and actually driving Māori outcomes, because we can't lean on government. Governments like this one continue to do what they're doing. They want to review the Treaty of Waitangi. They want to reduce Māori wards, or water down our participation in local government. They've already canned the Te Aka Whai Order of the Māori Health Authority, and the list goes on. What we're saying is that, okay, we're going to have to deal with governments, but rather than being distracted all the time by what government's doing, why don't we look at what we can do based on the strengths that we have? As I mentioned before, we have assets, billions of dollars worth of assets that we can leverage together. We have leadership. We have the people. Hey, we have the people, our people, and that's a powerful proposition. But kotahitanga isn't just a Māori thing. This is something that New Zealand needs to do, and we'll start with ourselves, and then we can extend it to include all communities. But we need to start somewhere.
So this isn't a reaction to what this government has done. This is a broader, bigger picture thing.
Bigger picture. This is being proactive, and actually it's about planning for a better future. So I mean, this government has stirred up a bit of emotion, but what I'm saying for this Hui is that actually, we've got the brains and the wherewithal to actually drive the outcomes that we want to achieve.
But having said that, obviously the current issues will come up this at this Hui, and what do you expect? How will that be handled?
Oh, well, they would have outlined the budget the day before, so we'll know how much money we didn't get for different kaupapa. I mean, politics is always going to be part of the conversation, but what I'm saying is that, okay, let's not get too distracted by the politics of the day. I think that's something that actually weakens us and can put us into different silos. But if we bring ourselves together, ooh, watch out! Watch out, world. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. So now, apart from iwi and tangata whenua and that, who else have you invited to this? Have you invited the government? Have you invited other political parties?
Yeah, I've reached out to the politicians, especially those that are active in the Māori political space. Chairs of kohanga reo movements, New Zealand Māori Council, the urban space. Some of these big kaupapa or collectives, National Iwi Chairs Forum. So we've reached out as far as we can, and the rest of it is just if you've got a thought or some thoughts around how we can unite, well, this is the Hui to be at.
Has the Prime Minister been invited? And if he has he accepted?
No, I don't have his email. I don't have his direct dial either. But I've invited Tama Potaka, and left it up to him to invite in terms of his colleagues, and the same with the other political parties.
Bayden Barber, thank you so much for your time, and we'll catch up with you after this to see how it went.
All good, Andrew.